We're just a tad early. Oh, wait.
I suggested that I try to get them distributed.
I just went to a meeting. I have been going through it.
Okay. Want to call the meeting of the Village of Corrales governing body to order. I'd like for the people to turn their phones off so they don't vibrate, so they don't disturb the meeting. And after you've done that, please stand and follow me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we'll do roll call. Stuart Murray.
Here.
Bill Knight.
Here.
Zach Burkett.
Here.
Bill Woolman.
Here.
John Alsobrook.
Here.
Rick Miera.
Here.
Everybody's here. Mayor's here. I need to get a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve the agenda and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So now we're going to have a presentation by our library director, Marion Freer. She's going to talk about the library. Hello, Marion.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, councilors. Thanks so much for having me. I know you get a report from me every month with data about what we've been circulating and how many people have come to our programs, but I wanted to make sure everybody gets a chance to find out how much we're doing at the library. There's a lot of interesting things going on. So what I'm using for our visual aid tonight is our new website. Well, new as of November, so reasonably new. So we're very happy with it. It's a lot easier to use than our old website was, and it's actually a subsite of the village's website. So as you're aware, we were closed for a while with COVID, and then we opened up for a little bit just doing curbside service for several hours a week. But we opened fully in June, on June 7th of 2021. So, and our traffic is not quite back up to its pre-COVID levels, but it's getting there. I think people are starting to come back. So just to tell you a few things about what we have going on. We try to have things for people of all ages, but a lot of our programming is geared towards adults. So just look at our adult programs. We have a book club that meets once a month. Actually just met yesterday. There's a conversational Spanish group that's every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. They're a mixture of in-person and online. So people who wish to join by Zoom are welcome to do so. And you can be any level of proficiency in Spanish, from a native speaker to just learning. We also have an author series, which is actually happening right now tonight. We've been inviting local authors to come and talk about their books, and this is an entirely online. We started doing this during the COVID shutdown, but we found that enough people like having evening programs online, so they don't have to drive anywhere, that we're continuing it that way for now. And this is new. It's under adults, but it's really all ages. We now have a chess club on Tuesday nights. So everything's on Tuesday nights. I'm sorry, you're going to have to start skipping council meetings. It started as 2 people and we're now up to 6. So it has tripled in size, I'm happy to say. And then there's the Stitch Club that has been meeting at the library since 2009. They're the second Saturdays of every month. So on to children's. On the children's calendar, we have story time. That's every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. It's preschoolers, so it's the very little ones. And it's also kind of a social hour for the moms. We were holding it in the library, but since the weather's gotten a little warmer, we've moved it outside. So I think it's a really fortunate thing to have a library that actually is located in a park with a playground. So the kids have room to run around and the mothers get a bit of a break too. Also under kids, what we've been doing, because we were not comfortable having children's programming inside the library, we've been doing what we call take and make kits. So they're little bags that families can take home. Some of them we make ourselves, some of them the Explorer has made for us. So they usually teach a little something. There'll be a science lesson or an art lesson, and the kids can take it home and work on them at home. So it was another COVID thing that we started, but it's proved to be so popular that we've just kept on doing it. So if you go to the growers market in July this summer, you will see the library board there on Sundays giving out take and make kits. For teens, well, I have to say teens are a hard group to do outreach to. So we have a teen stitch club. It's got 3 teens and their parents in it so far. But we have a bunch of teens who want to volunteer. So we have them helping with, they do some shelving for us. They help keep the shelves neat. And we're planning to have some of them help with the children's summer reading program. That'll be coming up in June and July. We haven't been doing as many big performances as we've done in previous years, but it will be bigger than what we did last year. And again, we're going to have as much of it outdoors as possible, so to keep things in the park. So, and we have some new resources. One of the things you can see on our research page here is we have the New York Times. So you can read it online anytime you like. What you do is click on one of these links. I'm not going to click on one because that seems to take us to a dead end where I can't get back to the website because of our Zoom features here. What you do is you click on a site, it takes you to a New York Times page where you can just enter a code, and the code is right there already filled in, and you get 24 hours access. So you can get that for the paper itself, or you can get it for the cooking section, or for the games section. So if you're a big crossword puzzle fan, this is something you can get for free through the library. If you're wondering how we pay for all of this, my answer is thank you for voting for the Sandoval County Library bond. They have been very good to us, and they let us bring you all sorts of resources. Now, another new resource that we have here is some genealogy collections. This is provided by a company called ProQuest. So we have ancestry.com, but they will not let us give you offsite access. So for that one, you have to come into the library, but it's a really fascinating resource, and I do encourage you to come look at it. For things that you can access from home, we have Heritage Quest and Fold3, which is a lot of, it's a lot of the same, slightly more limited resources than Ancestry, but Fold3 has a lot of military records. So if you want to look up any of your forebears' military service, this is a really interesting service to use. And then we also have a wide variety of all sorts of things. You can see Chilton's Automotive Repair, a lot of small business resources and job hunting resources. So we encourage people to come to the library to look for job openings, to write a resume, to take lessons on how to interview. Some of this we pay for, some is provided by the state library. So we hook into their resources. We also pay for the Gale database, which has a lot of things like an encyclopedia for children, and things like legal forms. So you can go in and write your will on this site. So, and this is something new. I'm going to chance moving to another page here and see if it will. Okay, we started a seed library in February of this year. It's had a huge response. So you'll notice that my report now has the number of seed packets that we've circulated. So strictly speaking, we're not circulating them. What we do is we let people check them out. You take them home and plant them, and hopefully you get a bumper crop and let
More
some of it
seeds.
go to seed and then bring the seeds back to us. So this is new, and we'll have to see how well it works out come fall and how many seeds we get back. But it's been really popular. We've been circulating a lot of seeds, and it's gotten us a lot of new customers. Okay, so other things we have on here are just things like how to download an ebook. So we do have a large ebook and e-audiobook collection. It also has some films. And down at the bottom of that collection, there is a little service where you can get music lessons or you can watch craft videos. So we keep adding to our online resources. In some ways, COVID was very inspirational for us because we had to find ways to keep people entertained at home. So we added a lot of things to do online. And one other thing that we have here, it's a small thing, but it's very popular. We have museum passes. So we have one pass for the Explorer. And then we have some passes to various state-owned facilities like the Natural History Museum in Albuquerque, the museums in Santa Fe, that is the publicly owned ones. So they're good for up to 2 adults and 4 children. So it's a great resource to use to visit historical sites and museums. You can just come check out a pass, and it's like checking out a book. You just return it when you're done with it. So does anyone have any questions about the library or what we're doing or our resources?
Stuart.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilors. I just want to know, Mayor, maybe you can answer this. How's the project for expansion of the library moving along?
I think it's pretty well stalled for the time being.
Counselor, the group that's putting it together is going to make a presentation in front of Parks and Rec Commission, and then they'll look at it and proceed from there. But it's paused, I would say, until they get a plan that they wanted to present. I think what happened was that when the idea of the annex came up, started out just as going to be a kind of a shed, a little bigger than a shed, and then people had various ideas, and all of a sudden that grew into something not either planned or figured out how it was going to fund it. So we had a meeting probably at the very first of this month with all the necessary parties. And so they're in the process of putting together a plan and going through the process of putting it in front of Parks and Rec. The reason why it goes in front of Parks and Rec is because it's going to affect the park over there. So, but there's a lot of good people with a lot of good ideas, and it's just trying to get them all together in the same place, going in the same direction.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, excuse me, Bill.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. It's a great website. Really, really appreciate that. And I have to say, I think we really do have the best library in the state.
I think so.
How the koi are fine, I assume? The koi fish are doing all right?
They're doing well now.
Good.
We've got one large one and 3 little ones that are sort of his color guard.
Good. I did have a question about the ancestry.com.
Yeah,
Actually, I ran into somebody at Smith's and he informed me that this was available. But is this the full access then? The several levels
yeah, it's full access.
in the library?
Yeah, it's called the library access. It's just you have to come to us to use it.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else have a question? Marion, thank you very much. Really appreciate this.
Thanks so much.
We always like to hear about our library and how great it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Mr. Curry.
First up on the administrator's report, as usual, would be Tanya. Are you there?
I am.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry. Not a lot new to say, except for if you're over 50, you are qualified for a second booster. It is recommended that you get it. As we know, Omicron came through and then stealth Omicron came through. And now we're looking at a new variant of Omicron that we hope gets a name. It's BA 2.12.1. And the reason why some epidemiologists are more worried about it is because it has the same deletions in the spike protein that Delta and Lambda had. Lambda isn't a very well-known one. I believe it was South America, maybe. Lambda didn't make a big run in the United States, which is good, but it had that same deletion, which means it has immune escape from previous COVID infections and from vaccine. Vaccines are still protective from getting sick enough to be in the hospital, but they're not preventative enough after about 4 to 6 weeks to keep you from getting ill. We've only had 10 cases in April that are recordable under PCR reported to the state. In Corrales, I can tell you we have much more than those because they've called me. Matter of fact, a person called me that was exposed the other day and wanted some advice on when to get tested. And if I thought the exposure was going to be bad, but they were both in the same vehicle, but they were both wearing N95s. So the chance of exposure is really low. And that person's comment was, I have never known so many of my friends to have COVID as I do right now. So it is definitely still out there. What people need to be thinking about is long-term complications from COVID. New studies are coming out everywhere from 27% in one study to 60% in another study that people will develop long COVID symptoms. We already know that if you've had COVID, whether it's mild or not mild, you're at increased risk. We know for a year for having myocardial infarction, having a heart attack. Women are getting it more than men, and you don't have to have a case they're finding that means you've been put in the hospital. It can be a very mild case where you stayed home and didn't think it was much at all. POTS, which is a postural body position, orthostatic tachycardia syndrome is another one that's been very big. A lot of women are getting that. Pins and needle feelings, problems sleeping, intermittent fevers, rashes, mood change, stomach or chest pain, headaches. Those are all things that they're finding are long haul. If you do have someone who is a long haul person that you know, there are studies going on funded by the National Institute of Health at UNMH, and I'll be happy to help them link up if they don't know about those studies. Things in this county, the state did not update the county or zip code thing today. They did the state one today, but the 14-day running average was updated on the 18th of April, and we were at 3% positivity. Today updated it today as well, and we're now at 4% positivity. If you look at the medical provider map, Sandoval County is in the substantial transmission level. That is completely different than the CDC public for masking. The medical one is for us to look at where we're going to be in healthcare and how many calls or how many patients we may be. And we're in substantial on that one. I'm also tracking the schools. The schools in Rio Rancho did have 7 cases in one day last week, which was way up from what they had been doing. But we're back down to the 2 to 3 per day, which is good. So right now, today, we had 158 cases, which is down from our high, which was on the 20th, which we had 193. Positivity rate for today's was 2.99 for the state. We did go up from 38 people in the hospital to 51. We also have 25 people with flu in the hospital. If you haven't got your flu shot, the public health office in Sandoval County still has them. Flu is still out there and they don't see it going away. We are one of the highest states in the nation for influenza-like illness right now. We did have 11 deaths in the state, and we have 3 people on ventilator, which is down from 1. I'll be happy to, and we're still have some home test kits if people need them. They just need to reach out. And of course, we vaccinated today. We added another 25 people, and we have a clinic on Sunday. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. Tanya, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think the most significant thing I got from your presentation was the incidence of long haul syndrome after COVID,
Yes.
50% in some studies.
Yeah, and diabetes, I didn't mention that one. And as everyone knows, I did announce that I had COVID. I've already done blood work. I didn't get diabetes, but I've got another long physical. I want to make sure that I don't have any of the cardiac issues or any of that.
Sherry. Thank you, Tanya. You want me to talk about irrigation?
yeah.
Okay. So the good thing about irrigation is we do have water. Everyone's has been able to irrigate, at least in my area today. The problem is we're on a 3-week rotation. Every third week you get to water. And the other problem is it'll probably go away end of June. So could be a tough season.
Yeah.
And we'll try to keep you updated as we find out more. I would say to you that if you have constituents who ask about irrigation, suggest that they contact the ditch writer. If they need his phone number, we can get that to them. Or they can just go on to the MRGCD website and get that number. Bobby Wagner is our ditch writer, and he can make sure people get water if they haven't gotten water, if they should have gotten water. And he will let them know what's going on. Anybody have a question? Okay.
Next thing I wanted to talk about, I got a couple of questions this last week on signs, road signs in the village. And of course, the signs that are along Corrales Road are the responsibility of the state. But Michael Chavis, and I'm pretty sure you talked to your Councilor Knight a little bit about this, but we have a number of signs in the village that are our responsibility to keep up to date. We've got a little bit of money to do so, about $50,000. But I'll leave this in your boxes sometime if you want to see it. It's pretty much public knowledge, but it's minimum sign reflectivity requirements updated 2012 with compliance and data revisions. So it's very handy for insomnia if you feel like reading it. And but it does show you the requirements that any municipal entity has to follow as far as the safety of the signs. And so we'll be plowing through this, but if you have any particular signs in your district or neighborhood that you see that you think are in need of repair, just give Michael a holler, give me a holler, and I'll get it to him, or send me an email. Or something.
Just to
Bill,
make it
oh,
clear,
excuse me. Bill, go ahead.
it's not signs that we talked about in our last meeting. It's like identifying street signs. It's the signs we're talking about. A lot of them are just because of the sun, you can't even see them. There's a bunch in my district that need to be replaced, so that's a good thing. Thank you.
Bill, did you have a question?
Yes,
Then Stuart.
Yeah, this relates a little bit to subject we've talked about many times, crosswalks. I think there's one crosswalk on Loma Larga. And in traversing Loma Larga, it doesn't seem to be practical that perhaps crosswalks should be placed there. But I'm wondering in terms of signage, if we can increase the signage in terms of pedestrian right of way, horse right of way, those kinds of things, periodically along the 4 miles, 5 miles, whatever it is, along Loma Larga. Again, I don't think crosswalks necessarily are in order, but I think signage, increased signage would be appropriate.
We can certainly look into that because we, as we all know, have a lot more authority on Loma Larga than we do on Corrales Road.
Stuart.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Councilor. So Ron, also, how about addresses for homes and so forth? There's been a lot of talk about what we need to do in order to comply, with the village ordinances.
Lori Stout, as we speak, is working on that project to try to get the addresses up to date and clarified. I'm a perfect example of that. I receive my mail. I live at a 7 address, but I get my mail in a 5 box. The 7 mail comes in the 5 box. So it's confusing to try to change.
Yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, just 2 sign related comments. One, the sign out here looks awesome. So the design of that, the implementation, it's really great looking. On the other side of the spectrum, and I just noticed this during school pickup recently, Right next to the growers market, we have a historic marker sign, and I'm not sure whose sign that is in that parking lot of the office building there, but it is in a low level of condition. Is there any way we can look at getting that repaired?
Can look to see who owns it first and whose right of way it's in.
Yep.
And thank you for the remark on the new sign out front here. That was a project that Mayor Roque wanted to see happen before she left, and we missed it by about 3 weeks. And the good news about this sign out here as well is that it's changeable, not changeable like the senior citizen sign over there where you take letters and stuff, but it's an acrylic that you can go up there, and if we have a change in direction or something like that, we want to put like a MASH sign up there, we can go up there and put a sign like that. But it is changeable. It's not too expensive to do that, but we did make some changes with this as we were going through the design, and so they were able to accomplish it. It's part of we worked with Amy Bell on that and the wayfinding project it had. And so we've got other locations around the village that we're still looking at. But signage, like a lot of other things, has become very expensive, and we wanted to have a sign out front here that was stout and sturdy and looked good. I think we accomplished that. I wanted to give a little update. Councilor Woolman had talked about some monies that were out there, and Mayor, please jump in on this anytime you feel like it, of course. As far as the big money that we initially talked with Mayor Chavez about, and I think you were in that meeting, one of the things that we run into is one, shovel-ready projects, and two, the size of the village. We're kind of in between the size that we need, and our demographics kind of sometimes punish us. And so it becomes difficult to qualify for some of those money, but we're still looking at it. And we're also got our hand out in other places. I shouldn't say that, but we've applied for some grants out of Senator Heinrich's office that Tanya has been working on along with Raina. And we also have been looking, we've got a gentleman that's working with Melanie on some of our broadband capabilities in the village and trying to come up with what their actual needs are of that and what the funding costs will be on that. So that's an active project that we have going on right now. Water and wastewater, the same thing is true. We are looking at various designs that we may try to implement to bring the sewer system to more have the sewer system have more capabilities than it's got right now. But both of those projects, we did not have a plan in place that we could have gone to Mayor Chavez and the broadband fellow that's working along. But we are developing, and we're developing pretty rapidly. And we've got some ideas also in the works of how we're going to attract money, either through some of the Water Trust Board monies or the Environment Department. They have lowered their loan. I think it's like less than 1%.
0.01.
0.01, because they're trying to get that money out the door. And so many communities are reluctant to try the loan process because they want a grant process. And so the Environment Department, working with the Environmental Protection Agency, has lowered those monies, because if the Environment Department, the Water Trust Board, and the Finance Authority, any monies that they get funneled to them from the Environmental Protection Agency, if they're not used in a period of time, they just revert back to the US Treasury, not back into the region of EPA, but back into the US Treasury. So we're trying to access those. And we've also got another couple of folks looking for money for us. You talked about the Arts Center, and we are in the process right now of getting a price quote and the possibility of using a brownfield grant to go in there and raise that building. And because there's a lot of asbestos in it. And so we're trying to get a couple of price quotes as to how much that would cost. And then the mayor and I and others met with the Arts Council twice now. and talked about some of the process that we're going to go through to develop a plan that will eventually give us the funding amount. But the mayor, I'll let the mayor make that commitment that he made yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right?
Jeez, who remembers? And
And
the arts group.
yeah. So
So you want me to start?
go ahead and just make your,
So first thing, let me just say, there's a lot of money in the American Rescue Fund, and we sat down Friday afternoon. Fortunately, we got most of it done before the fire hit up there in the northwest part of northeast, well, the north part of Corrales. And we've identified a number of areas that we can obtain funds and use the funds, and these don't carry a match, nor do we have to pay them back. These are grant funds. And we've identified several areas we can use those monies. One we hope to do is get some pipe so we can connect our towers and address the potential of a disaster in our bosque. We have to get that in this week, and it's all ready to go. So we'll be bringing that to you as we get those funds. Then with regard to the arts, we're going to form a group of 7 members representing the various arts groups, plus some who are just leaders in the community who have expressed an interest in that. And 7 seemed like a reasonable number to manage as opposed to like 20 or 30 that showed up the first time we met. And our focus, first of all, is to deal with the demolition and get us a footprint upon which to build the building. We've been notified by the Adobe Theater that they would be interested in utilizing a space. And that was a real plus hearing from them. So again, this is something else that's going to be coming forward as we move along. We don't have any money for the building yet, but we're anticipating various places that we can, look for funds in addition to ICIP perhaps getting some of those monies. Okay, any other question? It seems like it's just a, big blur up there on some occasions, and perhaps if you have a question, a specific thing you want to ask about. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, Ron, I have a question about the proposed grants or loans from Senator Heinrich's office. Could you share just kind of the nature of what you're looking for there?
it's kind of a wide open process. He had it up on his webpage for a while, and we got our application in time. But the amount of money that I was told by some of his staff, and I think Tanya was told the same thing, was around $1 million that we might be able to get into.
So this is different from the weekly updates on available department and agency grants?
Yes.
Okay.
It's my understanding. One other, excuse me.
Go ahead.
One other thing, Counselor, I wanted to mention on your question, you were talking about first of all, on the Interior Drain Committee, I spoke with Mr. Kasuga today, Jason Kasuga, and we're going to have another meeting to talk about that and get a framework on May 12th, I believe it is. And
That's for the MOU.
we have to develop an MOU, but part of the hang up is with, it's not BLM, but another federal agency that we're going to have to include, get some of their permissions on to move forward on that. But we're going to figure out a way to do it because we have to have that MOU in place before we can move forward. And I know Doug Finley we've got some money that's tied to that already, but they're insisting, and it's a good idea for both entities to have an MOU in place on that. So I'll be optimistic here and say that I would like to think, granted, we all know the federal agencies move a little slower than we do, but I would like to think that we'd see something maybe in writing by the middle of summer. So, and then one other thing on one of the questions that you asked was the pedestrian access route. Well, the news that I have there is that the mayor and I visited with Justin Gibson, who's the District 3 engineer, and Jill Mosier, who is the deputy engineer over there, a little over a week ago. And the project is not going to happen under the current conditions. And the reason for that, and they've gone through some of their explanations, and they've been challenging to work with, because as the presentation that you've seen a couple times from them, or some of the counselors have seen a couple times, changes from one time to the next. And so their proposal, if we were to take over the road in a condition, I mean, we could take over the road right now in the condition it's in, but they would provide no maintenance funds for us. And taking over this road in the condition that it's in, it's already cracking, as some of you may have noticed. There's at least 40 culverts up on the north end of the road. And because of that, the mayor and I have talked about this a lot, is that if we take over the road, we also have to take over the liabilities that come with it, not only for maintenance, but for accidents. If the highway department gives us the road and we take it over and they redo it to fit their specifications beforehand, Corrales Road would never look like Corrales Road again, because it would have a potential to, with their right-of-way requirements that they have to follow, if they built the road to spec, it would endanger Hen Nate's, would endanger Indigo Crow, Perez, and a lot of other private residences along the road. And so I have spoken with, and I know the mayor has spoken with various members of the committee, and they're looking at ways to maybe use the monies that they have to maybe look somewhere else. Very disappointing, but and the council, of course, can take another path or tell us to take another path. But when we look at the liabilities and the maintenance cost, and it's a financial risk that we would have to really carefully consider going forward. I can make an optimistic point on it, but it could be wiped out by one accident because of the road being curved too much in one direction, and village gets sued for the entire year's budget or something like that. So I'm glad to talk about this more in a different setting or another setting, but right now that would be my thought. And I don't know if the mayor wants to add anything to that, but it's not looking good.
Yes, sir.
Just a point of clarification. So it is being shelved right now because DOT is saying that they will not allow it to happen, or it's being shelved because we're nervous about the potential liability if we did do it.
The only way two ways that the highway department would have it happen is just give us the road as is. And that increases the liabilities. And the other way that is, if we said, no, we don't want the road as is, we want a new road, then they would build that new road to the specifications that I just described.
And they said they would do that at this point. They would build a new road, even though, I mean, not that that's the best choice to go down because it would cause some right-of-way issues, but they've agreed to that in theory.
I would say not.
Okay.
No, they showed us what it would look like using another small community that they had done that same thing. They showed us what it would look like before and after. And before, it looks much like Corrales Road, with the irrigation ditches and 2 lanes and gardening, farming, trees, orchards. And then they showed it after the fact where it's 4 lanes and sidewalks, storm drains. It had a totally different appearance. Now, they were not trying, if they wanted to get rid of the road, they sure weren't trying to sell it to us. And so they would have made it sound very good if they were trying to get rid of the road, I think. But we do have some right-of-way issues. We have some buildings that have been here forever the buildings would be in the right-of-way. Hannah and Nate's, almost all their outside courtyard would be in the right of way. So we sort of left it. And if we can come up with a better idea, a different mousetrap, maybe we'll come up with a plan. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, councilors. Oh, I'll just, again, I'll say I'm displeased with the outcome of that from the State Department of Transportation. Is there any chance that we could get a waiver just for the commercial district only to take over that portion from Meadowlark up to Old Church?
The mayor asked that question.
No way, huh?
No,
Okay,
you get it all,
all or nothing.
pretty much.
I think the mayor used the metaphor, you can't just take part of the knee.
Why not?
Oh, it's another story.
I know it's a medical thing, but.
Yeah, it's another story. We had a conversation.
Okay.
But it's unfortunate. There are a lot of, it's kind of like the speed limit. I said, well, so tell me about speed limits again. I mean, can't we lower the speed limit? And they said, well, sure, but we'll do a test to see how fast people drive. And we've done this before. And she thumbed through her sheets of paper and said, and the last time the average speed was 40 miles per hour. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the school buses do 40 miles an hour every once in a while. But anyway, she said, you don't want us to do it because it's one of those, be careful what you ask for. We may end up increasing the speed limit. We'd like to see it slower, 25, in that district, that area. But we tried this many years ago when Phil Gastar was mayor, and we didn't get anywhere with that. And the other thing we asked about was, and this wasn't really a topic that I guess many of you have thought about, or maybe you have, about the idea of all these wires that are down here, all these above ground wires. We'd like to put those below ground. So I asked a fellow from P&M who came out here, Mr. Lemming, what do you think that costs for a mile? Just middle, maybe the commercial area. And it's about $10 million. So it's these are pretty staggering numbers. Think about how you're going to come up with it. We have other issues that we need to move forward on to help protect the village. It would be nice to get those electric wires under the ground. Good for public health, safety, and welfare, and especially if we have issues with wind again like that and the arcing that occurs with some of these huge trees, you start thinking about how important that would be. But 10 million is a big number. Any other questions?
Got one more.
Yes, sir.
So the last two things I have, Mayor and I had a nice lunch today, get acquainted lunch with Mayor Don Lopez and Simon, who's the village administrator there. And the mayor had met Mayor Lopez before, as have I, many years ago. But it's just another opportunity to, since we're kind of the same in many ways and we're not, and in many other ways, it's just nice to have that relationship over here, and they're always very willing to help us and vice versa. The last thing is we'll be having the budget workshop on Wednesday, May 18th. And will be open to the public, but this will be the workshop that will present all the recommendations that Raina has been working on. And in that workshop, obviously, your comments will be very important. And then at the May 24th meeting, we will be taking a vote, the first vote on the budget that will go to DFA by June 1st. And then they will look at the budget and what DFA likes to see in the way of changes between that June 1st one and the final one they get. They basically don't like to see any changes at all.
Right.
And so we want to get all of your licks in, so to speak, and through the workshop process. And then when you're voting on the budget on the 24th. The time of it, I think it would be at least a 2-hour workshop, and I would like to propose it start at 3 PM.
So how's the day for everybody? sort of in between the two meetings. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to the training in Las Cruces, the 16th, the 18th, but 3 o'clock probably would work.
Yeah. Does it finish at noon?
I
You
haven't seen the
remember?
schedule. I don't,
I think
yeah,
it finishes
is
at
it
noon.
noon?
Okay.
Yeah, so that should be
All
fine.
right, we'll plan that.
Yeah.
How's 3 o'clock sounds okay to everybody? So I think it's important because we want to try to present it, a solid front up there to DFA. No holds barred. Ask questions, try to dig into it really well and get an idea of, where we're spending all this money and how we're spending it. It's a good time to have, an impact on our budget. And yes, sir.
Mayor, how soon will we see a preliminary budget in our boxes?
I'll have to get back to you on that because.
Yeah. I think Raina's working on it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't know
it's-
if it's quite ready.
Yeah.
I'd just like to have enough time to
Oh, yeah.
purse through it and see what's.
I would anticipate that you'd see it in the first part of May.
Yeah, you should have a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just one question. I said something to Ron and to you, I believe, a couple of days ago about the fire situation. And if there's a way that we know the local communities have to be the ones that would ban fireworks.
I think that's a great idea. We're looking into that, actually. We have a Zoom meeting with somebody at the municipal league who's trying to come up with a draft ordinance to kind of help us cover ourselves because, it's against the law to do that. I mean, we can't do that.
Yeah, it was in the.
I think
paper
John and
today.
I have been through this before.
Yeah, yeah.
In the past.
Great.
And we're going to try to have something that will cover us, get the attorneys to approve it. Sure. Yeah.
And then
Or tell us how to, get by.
MRGCD, of course, would have to somehow be involved with the Bosque and stuff as well.
Don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll go through the municipal league because that's easy. We're members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir. Rick.
would that be up to and including sales?
Boy, there's it. Well, you understand how the language is written. I don't,
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. it's hard. And you can only do it for a limited period of time.
That's,
30 days.
30 days. So that's why we're going with the municipal league to try to help lead us through this
Right.
morass
Yeah.
of regulations. You kind of wonder who's lobbying the legislature. Well, you could probably tell us.
I remember who was, but I don't know who is.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just lead into council's forum then, since we're sitting here talking about stuff. Anybody have any comment? Did you want to talk about something?
I do.
Yes.
So in the past, Corrales Elementary and the Village and the Kiwanis Club has done something called Walk and Roll, which every Friday they've had several locations in the village where they've taken a group of kids and they've walked to school those mornings. With COVID, obviously that went away. It has not come back yet. But I would like to see a discussion of what role the village could play in getting that back in action. My initial feedback from one member of Kiwanis is that he thinks that there would be an appetite for them to participate and help with that program again. In the past, the village has had people there. The mayor's walked. I know chiefs have walked. We've had firefighters do it. So I think it's great to have members of the local government walking with these kids to school and letting them ask us questions and that type of stuff. So at some point between now and the start of the school year, I'd like this to be an official action item that we talk about. We get the principal of the school, we get somebody from us here and figure out what role we play in it and how we make sure that it happens.
Yes, sir, Bill.
Mayor, councilors, first of all, I want to thank the administration for the proposed independent study of animal services in the village. Extensive reports were prepared for the councilor and mayor back in 2014, presented to the council by September 30th that year. And I suggested they be reviewed as part of that study. And as we're not looking for an exhaustive study that was already done, we're looking more not to build a shelter, but rather a temporary halfway house, as it were, for animals. I would ask that that report be submitted to the mayor and council by June 14th, if that's possible. It's about 6 weeks to get that done.
I think we were actually hoping to get something sooner than that.
We are,
But thank you for the time.
Not necessarily.
I'm not sure that a group has been chosen yet.
Right.
to
But
do-
we were hoping. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilors. I just wanted to correct a statement that was made in the Corrales comment, this last issue. It was attributed to me by Ms. Dolan. In our email exchange we had, we were talking about a donation for bicycles for the Corrales Elementary. I had mentioned to her that it was Councilor Burkett's idea to use a donation, and she declined, which I can understand. And I think Councilor Burkett's idea was a great one at the time. But I would like to urge that if that request for $10,000 hasn't made it into the budget cycle yet, that we look at that pretty close, because I think it's a good use of our money for Corrales Elementary to allow the PE teacher to teach our young kids how to ride bicycles safely and so forth. So anyway, I would like to see that also included in our budget if we have it in discussion.
You'll have an opportunity.
Thank you.
Mel,
Mayor and councilors, I just want to let you know that I did attend the Rio Metro Regional Transit District meeting last Friday. And they talked about the promotional fare that's 75% for a rail runner train ride until July 31st. It's on sale. And they talked about they will be starting the door-to-door service for disabled as well as elderly in June.
great. Great. Any other counselor has something they want to toss out there? Okay, Corleone's Forum. Melanie, who's up?
First up, we have Barbara Bayer. And if you could please state your
So,
name and address for the record.
Barbara, this is for informational purposes only. There won't be any discussion or debate, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Okay?
Before I start, though, could I just thank everyone for talking into their microphones tonight? This is the first time I've actually heard anything that was been said in this, and it's just been marvelous. It's very illuminating. Yes, because I have hearing aids that are attached to the loop, so thank you so much.
Sure enough.
Okay, my name is Barbara Bayer. I live at 91 Ida Court. Mayor, councilors, I'm the president of Karma, which was formed 21 years ago to stop the euthanasia of Corrales animals. To that end, of the more than 5,000 animals that we've rescued, the vast majority of those have been from Corrales. I've lived in Corrales for 23 years, which is long enough to remember when Corrales had a contract with Albuquerque Shelter to euthanize our animals after 72 hours. In 2012, the Village Council passed a no-kill ordinance as introduced by Councilor Alsobrook. Since that time, Animal Services has worked hard to make sure that Corrales animals are adopted, fostered, or placed with no-kill rescue groups. Recently, procedures have been inconsistent, including requiring strays to be out of the village in 72 hours. Unfortunately, sometimes people on vacation don't get the message about a missing animal in 72 hours. Sometimes a good placement can't take place. They need more time, and generally time is required until space is available with reputable rescue groups, particularly during high volume puppy and kitten season. Why not let our animal services officers take the time they need to assess an animal? It'll be time well spent, and it's consistent with the village residents' belief that this is an animal-friendly village. For that reason, I support temporary kennels and cat space, unlike the concrete cells that are currently available. Since the decision has been made to study the village animal issues, I urge you in the meantime to let Animal Services do their job. This should not include forcing them to send animals to any one group or groups unless it is their educated judgment that such an action is in the best interest of those animals, and never without assurances in writing indicating procedures which are in place to make certain that village animals are not either intentionally or unintentionally euthanized, and that the village is kept apprised on a regular basis of each animal and until it's either adopted or it's deemed necessary that's returned to the village. As an observer and an advocate for village animals for more than 2 decades, I hope I'll be able to provide my insights to those qualified people chosen to undertake the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Next is Patty Flanagan.
Mayor, councilors, I'm Patty Flanagan. I live at 1800 West Long Entrada. I am the current president of Champs and Corrales Horse and Mule People. A couple board members here. You probably won't stand up here, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. My vice president, Jody Ira, and board member Caitlin Robinson. And we're just here to help support Karma on the animal rescue. We heard that the animals were maybe being sent over after 72 hours, which breaks my heart because in all honesty, I go on vacation longer than that. And if someone, you've got a house sitter who doesn't know what's going on and our animals get loose, although we don't want them to, that's just not a reasonable amount of time. We want to support the village. We want to support Karma, and we're here to help out in any way we can. You know, we're a village of, we've got animals, agriculture, arts, all of this, and to put it together and keep it safe, and it's up to the village to maintain that safety for everybody. And with Karma, we are really in agreement on some transitional kennels. If we could put them anywhere we can, maybe someplace, fire department or something, if someone's there, if something happens, they know, they can notify somebody, that would be great. And also with Champ, we have offered with the fire department, we're trying to do, you have animal control, which we work a lot of things with, and we've got the fire department, like all those horse people, we will call fire department to do large animal rescue. And then you have animal control who does the small animals and helps with that. Coinciding both of those together might be helpful. Champ has offered to maybe sponsor a large animal rescue class here in the village. We'll pay for the whole thing and train fire department and animal control and any of the personnel, even the officers, if we could fit some of the officers in there to get all of that going. But doing the transition and having the transition kennels, that would be great. That's kind of what we want to help support them with. We're also here to support any information for large animals on the study, anything, any questions. We've got a great membership that's out there and really willing to help. And on your sign issues on Loma Larga, we're also willing to help do fundraising to do for crosswalks and notifications. We're there because we're a private group. We can help do fundraising to get any of that going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Melanie Scholler. And if you can state your name and address for the record.
Melanie Scholler, former counselor. I served on the council that actually assigned the police department to back up animal control in this village. At that time, we were transitioning from volunteer to a paid force. It was not possible to have the fire department take that on. I think in the interim, 2014, we had a task force. 80% of the people in this village said they felt it was the village's responsibility to take care of our stray animals. And we passed an ordinance making us no kill. Again, we're currently at this time, fire department is doing large animal rescue. Doesn't seem to me that it works anymore to have the backup with the police department. Their mission is not taking care of animals. It should be crime prevention and enforcement. I think it's time that we move animal control under the fire department. I think that works. And a lot of that has to do with human reasons. In 40 years of doing rescue, I have seen some pretty horrific cases of abuse. I have also seen more cases of people whose lives got out of control and couldn't deal with their animals. Back in 2007, I had a family that came to me with a 14-year-old dog they didn't think should have to die because their adult child in another state had murdered someone. I took the dog, the support services for that couple came from the fire department. This past November, senior woman here in the village had to go in hospital. As it turns out, she never really came out. I went to pick up the dogs to care for them and found 3 feet of feces, dead mice, and trash on the floor. I took care of the dogs. The fire department provided the support. I think we really need to think about the human aspects of this, as well as the animals. Plus, let's face it, Norman Rockwell never painted a picture of a cop in a tree getting a cat down, you know? You have the opportunity to change that. I really feel we've come to a point where we need to move animal services under the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie.
Next is Mr. Kurt Flora. And if you could also state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Cassius. Before we begin, I would ask you, can I please have an extra 2 minutes to address?
No, you get 3 minutes.
You know I have a lot to talk about.
You have 3 minutes,
Okay,
just like everybody else.
well, that's what I thought you said. Okay, again, in 2014, our plat was done, Eber Farm plat. On that plat, there was a 20-foot private easement granted by this plat to also include our property. That includes all 9 acres from Corrales Road all the way through our property with a 20-foot road easement. There's also used our emergency license on that plat. Now, if we're going to be eliminated and not being able to use our 20-foot plat, then that makes, or use the Eber plat as our road easement as well, that has already been filed with the county, then this plat is no good. You're going to have to take this plat back to the commission and bring it back to the commission. I have one of my neighbors who lives on the road here. I got 2 more online that the properties between Corrales Road and our property, they own them properties. Now, this is going to cause 3 more lawsuits towards the village if this plat is not an approved plat. Now, you've seen what I gave you through the emails and all that. I hope you read the emails and all that. The plan was to test the waters. The plan, whose plan was it to test the waters before the net versus gross, setting us back? I gave you the 1886 ordinances, okay? That shows that we had a couple times to fix the plat before we were an illegal resubmittal of the plat, okay? I gave you 16-006. We were at the preliminary plat stage, not the resubmittal stage. And in the preliminary plat, it says, unless otherwise indicated in subdivision regulations, means you have to read the subdivision regulations. You can't just charge somebody a resubmittal after 1 mistake on a plat, okay? You notice, were we going to thrash this out, the net versus gross, or were we going to wait, okay? You seen that? You seen what Lori puts in her written minutes? He or they wanted to work net versus gross out before the illegal resubmittal of the application. Why would we do something like that? That'd be ridiculous for us to wait to thrash out net versus gross before we're forced to illegal resubmittal. You also see that Tom says he fixed the plat. The plat was fixed before the very first meeting, okay? So there shouldn't have been no resubmittal for the application at all. The deed, our deed was
That's your
kept
time,
out
sir.
of the packet, okay? Our deed.
Mr. Flora, your time's up.
Mr. Flores, that's it. Thank you.
You know, our deed was kept out along with our petitions were kept out. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Listen to the recording. In the recording, Lori's walking backwards from handing our deed to the commissioner in the middle of the meeting. She walks back, you hear, and you listen to this tape, you hear Sue Winter say, I told you so.
Thank you.
That proves that that deed was kept out on purpose.
Next, we have Penny Mendoza.
advice. Cousin Senator Steiner for chiming in tonight. Thank you.
If you could please state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Mayor, council members, Mr. Curry. My name is Penny Mendoza, or Margaret Mendoza, and I live at 198 Size Road. My sister and I moved to Corrales about 20 years ago because of a dog and a horse. And I'm still here because of animals. The dog and the horse died several years ago, and she moved to Oregon. But I'm still here. Because of an adoption event at PetSmart and 4 adorable white kittens with blue eyes, I met Barbara and learned about Karma shortly after moving here. It was going to be a temporary move for me because I intended to go back to my townhouse in Santa Fe. Well, as I said, I'm still here and still fostering Karma cats. At 82, I'm not sure I'm going to move back to Santa Fe. But I'm here because I would like to briefly tell you about a young, healthy Corrales cat named Sky. This is something that happened a few years ago, so I'm a little fuzzy on the details. I think that the Animal Services officer was Frosty, who many of us remember. And he got involved because of learning of a cat that had been found along Corrales Road in a cactus, possibly hit by a car. I don't remember if he took the cat to Barbara or called her to help rescue it. At first, it was thought that the cat had a broken leg. It actually had a smashed pelvis. The cat had to have very specialized surgery with no guarantee of success. It would require the surgery be done by a vet that specialized in that kind of injury. With the approval of the Karma board, Sky had her pelvis repaired. She was in intensive care for weeks and required around-the-clock care when she returned to the cattery at Barbara's. She recovered to a point she could walk and climb like a normal cat. Once recovered, she went to an adoption event where a woman in a lot of pain, scheduled for hip surgery, learned her history, and immediately bonded because of the painful experience both had. Sky was adopted on the spot. Why this story? Well, because it's an example of the kind of compassion, coordination, community caring, and trust that has existed between local rescue and animal services here in our community. There are many other scenarios that could have happened, but for Sky and her adopter, none may have been as happy as this ending. Let's not make policies that could let anything like that happen to our Corrales animals. You've heard some recommendations. I'm not going to repeat them, but I certainly support them. When I moved here, there was a sign at the south end of Corrales Road that stated Corrales is an animal-friendly village. I don't believe that sign is there any longer. I hope the attitude still is. It's time to replace that sign and live up to its message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Bonnie Bagley representing the Corrales Equestrian Advisory Commission. And if you could also state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, to new faces and old. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Bon Bagley, 607 Long Trotter West. I've been here since 1977. Pardon me if I have to refer to this. This has made my whole day to see such a movable feast. To see such support for the animal community. That is why I moved here in 1977 as well, with the whole panoply of Noah's Ark. Horses, cats, goats, sheep, cattle, pigs, ponies, dogs, cats. Anyway, thank you for your support for the animal community. I'm here tonight representing your official arm and liaison with the horse community. We have several events planned to which you are all invited. And we would like to emphasize that that horses have a historic and honored place in the history and function and economic life of this village. We will do anything we can to help you promote this. If for photo opportunities, this is what we've done in the past, promote horse events like the Rio Grande Trail System down here with photo opportunities and public speaking opportunities for you folks. That's what we're here for, and to promote the use of horses to enhance the lives of people and animals in the village. With regard to that, we have Trail Day coming up on the 29th. I believe Chris Allen is going to address that. I absolutely echo all and anything that Champ is going to put on. We have de-spooking clinics for new horse owners and green horses, what we call green horses who aren't used to Corrales is absolutely one of the best communities with its varied habitats and diversions, as it were, to introduce a horse into sane behavior and to instill it with confidence. So we put on de-spooking clinics. We had one scheduled, but it's going to conflict with the tractor show. We will reschedule. This is a regular feature. We put on educational and public enhancement things and emphasize children and safety at all times. Safety is my middle name because I'm an overprotective mom, as my son will be happy to tell you. So we will do the de-spooking. We will let you know. Also, I wanted to thank you all for the support for the freestanding solar powered lights at those critical, dangerous horse and multi-use crossings. We had 5 of them. They're all in the master trails plan. Those of you who are new may want to take a look at just the basic maps in the back of the plan, which is yay thick. But we have planned for this for years.
That's your time. Sorry, your time's up.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the ditch. The July 4th parade I started on in the 90s. We're going to work on that. And everybody sign up for Code Red through the fire department. That is an absolutely invaluable resource. And those who have livestock, we're all prepared and ready to go. Thanks to the fire department.
Thank you.
Be well.
Next is Suzanne Harper.
Good evening, Mayor Roque. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Freudian slip there, huh?
Whoa. Good evening, Mayor Fahey. I have it
Yeah.
written, Mayor Fahey.
Yeah.
And village councilors. And I just wanted to mention to Councilor Burkett that we, on the pedestrian and bicycle commission, are very excited about walking roll to school. So my name is Suzanne Harper and this is Chris Allen, and we are both here tonight representing the Corrales Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. One of our charges as a commission is to advise the village administration and council on the safety and educational needs of our residents related to pedestrians and cyclists. Corrales is a wonderful place to ride a bike and walk your pet and take a stroll and ride your horse. And since the advent of the pandemic, more people from within the village and without the village have been getting outside, which is really good news. But with the increased foot, bicycle, and horse traffic has come increased risk of injury. Add to this the introduction of the electric bicycle. We have many new riders who are unfamiliar with the rules of the road. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission has been informally monitoring the situation, and we saw a need for a community event focused on bicycle education and safety with a focus on the intersection of the walker, the cyclist, and the equestrian. To meet this need, our commission is sponsoring a bike fair this Saturday, April 30th from 10 to 12 noon at the Corrales Recreation Center. Members of the Equestrian Advisory Commission became excited about this event as well, and so they have been involved in the planning, and they're also going to volunteer. So we're really excited about the two commissions coming together. Numerous other entities have assisted with this event, and I just want to tell you about some of the highlights. The Governor's Council on Disability and Brain Injury have donated over $350,000 70 helmets for children. An organization in Texas, Helmets from Hobby, who's a young cyclist, he's about 20, died a few years ago in Albuquerque when he wasn't wearing a helmet and he crashed. And so his father, Mario Garcia, started the foundation. They're giving us $1,000. So we're going to purchase helmets for adults to disperse on Saturday. We've also been able to get through the Governor's Commission. They're going to make sure every student at the 3 schools in Corrales will have a helmet. And I will say that Leah Dolan is doing an amazing job at the elementary school. And it just blows me away what she does. The city of Albuquerque is putting on a bike rodeo, which is an event that educates young children in bike etiquette. They're also bringing out the Esperanza Bike Check Center. We're going to have local bike shops. We'll have helmet fitting, bike washing, lectures on trail etiquette, and many more offerings. And we really have a lot of really cool bling. A lot more than this. And I was going to give it to you, but then I thought, no, you need to come. So this is rules of the road. This is a game you can play. This is so you can be seen in the dark. These
Kind
are
of small,
awesome.
isn't it?
What?
It's kind of small, isn't it?
Is it?
It wraps around you.
Oh, so they'll see your arm, huh?
We don't all work out as much as you. Some of us have skinny
Okay,
arms.
we have coloring books, we have cool vests, and
That's better.
backpacks. And check this out. These are awesome. 3 different speeds.
And that's your time,
Free.
ladies.
Oh, sorry about that. So we're excited, and do you have any questions? And thank you for your service.
Oh, hey, thank you very much.
Any
Both of you.
questions?
Can Chris Allen have?
I'm sorry, what?
I just wanted to say something very quickly. As part of Carolina's Sport, we've heard a lot about animals tonight, and I forgot how long these meetings are, and I'm bottle feeding a lamb, and he's going to be really mad that I stayed this long at this meeting. So just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, and our final comment of the evening comes from Pat Mooney. If you could state your name and address for the record, please, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, my name is Pat Mooney. I just wanted to come out tonight. First of all, thank you for the time and introduce myself. I'm not going to make a political thing. I'm running as the next sheriff. As a PSA, absentee balloting can be obtained now if you so desire. Early voting starts May 10th. You can vote in the primary on June 7th. And of course, the election this year is going to be on November 8th. I just wanted you, I've been in New Mexico since 1984. I'm a retired military veteran, went to Iraq, combat veteran. Been in law enforcement for over 40 years. I'm most embarrassed to say that. I have a master's degree in public administration, and I just would like to bring the Sheriff's Department to the next level. I'm invested in your community already. I do firearms training as a master instructor for both my department at Jemez Springs and for your department in Corrales. And oh, by the way, Corrales is a great police department in terms of crime. Corrales and Rio Rancho are doing a great job. But Sheriff's Department, we need to step up too. Having said that, really, I didn't come here by, I came here by accident tonight. I wanted to hear everybody's concerns as the community, being a possible sheriff for your community. But this is the second time I've gone to a community meeting and they've talked about animal control and everything like that. There is money going to Sandoval County. It's discretionary as to where the sheriff wants to spend it. As citizens of Sandoval County, if you guys have concerns, you need to write Sandoval County Commission and tell them you want that money
But they can't.
designated where it's supposed to be in animal control. And once again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have any
Thank you very
questions?
much. Oh,
I'm
anybody
sorry.
have a question?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, I understand there was somebody that came in late and missed the sign up sheet. May they have?
Okay,
time
they
to
can
speak?
have 3
Sir?
minutes.
If you can state your name and address for the record, please, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Walter Barron and I live at Fort Huff Road. And it seems to me that Kurt's been coming in here almost every meeting, I guess, and doesn't seem to be getting his thoughts over to you guys. And it just seems strange to me that you guys have, everybody has their own agendas, but this is kind of a major thing here that he's talking about. So I just wanted to say that, and that's all. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question related to one of the presentations. I don't know who else planning on going to the bike thing this weekend. I'm going to be there for sure, but it may be worth exploring for a possible forum.
Yeah.
I'm going.
So you're gonna run us all off, huh?
I'm going just so you can't.
Well, okay. I guess we have to post it, huh?
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I'll do that tomorrow. Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks for thinking of
Gotta
that.
be, gotta be transparent. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll move on to the consent agenda. Councilor Murray, did you want to?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilors, I'd like to pull the number 3 and number 4. They are the proclamations 2201, 2202 from the consent agenda.
Okay. So do I have a motion now to approve the remainder of the consent agenda in a second? Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. How about a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Signify by, oh wait, let's do our roll call because we have a resolution in there for a bar. Stuart.
Aye.
Mel.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
All right. Consent agenda passes. Okay, Stuart, have at it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I know Arbor Day is coming up, but my main one was proclamation 2202. But Arbor Day is important as well. I'm not sure who submitted that one, but is anybody? I don't.
Actually, that was a request by an organization that plants trees.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was the local chapter of
Okay.
the Arbor Day Foundation. They need it to get their charter, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's part of,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, so
Ongoing.
it's an important thing, but also the Bicycle Safety Day, if you would just read those 2 proclamations into the record, I'd appreciate it.
Now finding those things and, oh, here we go. Actually, Melanie, I don't see them in here. Give your,
They should be in
Page
there.
46. Yeah.
so the 2020,
They might be on the backside of one of your.
Page
pages.
46.
I've got 2020, 22, 24. And 22, 23.
It's.
But you can read them into the, if you would like to read them.
Why don't you read
Stuart, or you could.
Village of Corrales proclamation number 2202, Bicycle Pedestrian and Equestrian Safety Day, April 30th, 2022. Whereas the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission and the Equestrian Advisory Commission are volunteers from the village, from within the Village of Corrales, and whereas these volunteers work on behalf of all village residents to inform residents of events within the community, and whereas these volunteers work towards improving safety of all bicyclists, pedestrians, and equestrian activities within the village. And whereas April 30th, 2022, there will be a series of activities promoting bicycling, pedestrian, and equestrian safety at the Corrales Recreational Center, 500 Jones Road, Corrales, New Mexico, 87048, from 10 to 12. Now therefore, I, James Fahey, Mayor of the Village of Corrales, Sandoval County, State of New Mexico.
I can't even find it.
30th, 2022 as Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Safety Day in the Village of Corrales, and call upon the people of the Village of Corrales to attend activities at the Recreation Center in support of these volunteers. Yes, approved and adopted by the governing board of the Village of Corrales, New Mexico, this 26th day of April 2022.
So do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve resolution 20 or proclamation 2202.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No opposed. Okay, it passes. And the propagate, I'm not sure the proclamation for the Arbor Day is it's not very long, is it?
No, I'll read that one if you'll.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me read it.
Okay.
Here we got one.
All right.
So Arbor Day, April 29th, 2022, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing a habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, and fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance, I have to say, I don't think elms are included in that. Enhance economic vitality of business areas and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, James F. Fahey, Jr., Mayor of the Village of Corrales, Sandoval County, State of New Mexico, proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the Village of Corrales. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and spread efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart, promote the well-being of this and future generations. And we hopefully will pass that tonight. Now, let me say that every April 29th is Arbor Day.
Mayor, I move we approve proclamation 2201.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve 2202, which is the Arbor Day.
01. We already did 02.
2202. It is 2202. Okay. Well, it's here. It says 22. Okay. So 2201.
Yes.
So we have a motion for and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, anyone want to say no? Okay. So the items removed from the consent agenda have been approved, both proclamations. New business. Consideration, action, and approval of resolution 2224, 4th of July parade. Do I have a motion to approve the 4th of July parade?
I move we approve resolution 2223.
I'll second.
How did I get this one? Every number's off. So we have a motion to approve and a second to approve resolution 2223, a resolution sponsoring the Corrales Main Street Incorporated 27th Annual 4th of July Parade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Next, we go to resolution 2224. A resolution to authorize disbursement of $3,500 to Corrales Society of Artists as requested by the Lodgers Tax Board for the purpose of multimedia advertising. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept resolution 2224.
And I have a second.
Second.
So I have a motion for and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, we have no opposed. So that resolution passes. Oh, excuse me. Wait a minute. Roll call vote. Sorry. Stuart,
Yes.
Mel,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Rick. Aye. Now, we have to go back and do a roll call vote on 2223. Did I get that right this time?
Yeah. This is the 4th of July.
This is for the 4th of July parade because we did not do a roll call. So Stuart,
Aye.
Rick,
Yes, sir.
John,
Yes.
Mel,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Resolution 2223 passes. Okay, announcements. So let's, so the future agenda, we'll talk about those first. Future agenda, we're going to try to have something regarding animal
Mayor.
service facilities.
Mayor, point of order.
Yes,
I think there was confirmation or appointments to council members to the Mr. Cog committees. I think we need to have a discussion, or did we want to do that? Or
You know, I have got so many different things here. Thank you very much, Stuart. Appointments of council members to Mr. Cog committees. So what I have, we passed out the different committee assignments to you all, so you can look and see which ones that you would like to participate with. I have Stuart Murray on the MTB meetings. I have Mel Knight doing the Rio Metro Regional Transit Board. I have Stuart Murray doing the Mid-Region Council of Governments Water Resources Board. And I have the mayor doing the Mid-Region Council of Governments. Zach, didn't you mention something you would like to do?
I think potentially an alternate on the last one you listed. I thought we had 2 spots on that, but if we don't, I know we have. one.
Mid-Region Council of Governments?
Yeah, correct.
I have for a alternate, I have Ron Curry. You,
I do think it lists 2 members and then an alternate on that particular. board.
okay. Zach, I put you down.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any spaces? I hadn't signed up for anything yet. I was waiting to let,
You know, there are a whole bunch of spaces. We need an alternate for the Water Resource Board,
or
sir?
you had some others you said?
Yes, we have the MRMPO TPTG meetings, Transportation Program Technical Group. That needs an individual. We have the Transportation Coordinating Committee, and that needs an individual.
I'll
Now,
volunteer for that one.
you want that one, Bill? That meets on the first Friday of every month at 1:30.
So I believe you had that first one. You said no one.
Water resources.
The TPTG,
Yeah.
Transportation Program Technical Group.
Right. Oh, go ahead. But when does that one meet on the?
you meet on Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, right?
Looks like it's the first Tuesday of the month.
Gotcha. Okay, Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind putting me down with that.
Okay,
And then I think we just need somebody for the MTB, the Metropolitan Transportation Board, which is separate from the one that Counselor Knight serves on.
I think I volunteered for that one.
yeah, Stuart got that one. Stuart did that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
MTB,
wrote that down very first.
third
My
Friday of every
apologies.
month. Meets at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's mean time between meetings, right?
Okay. Don't stretch yourself too thin. Okay.
Mayor,
All right.
Are there alternates for the Rio Metro or the MTB?
You know, the lady who was doing this, that was trying to help us do this, was gone.
Yeah.
And we just got all this stuff pretty much today. Okay, so the Rio Metro is only one person. You did that before, didn't you, John?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to depose Counselor Knight.
Depends on Bud.
I think she likes that one. There is an alternate for the Water Resource Board.
Yeah, put me down for that. That's a new one on me and I could learn a thing or two.
Well, it may become important in the future, you know?
Counselor Murray can't make it.
Oh, wait a minute, Stuart, did I put you there?
I'm on the water. I'm the primary, I thought, for the water resources.
Yes, you are the primary. Okay. You're the alternate, John.
Sounds good there.
Counselor Waldman, did you say you wanted to be an alternate on one of the boards, or was that somebody else that I heard?
So alternate on which one?
Did you say you wanted to be an alternate on one of the boards, or was that somebody else's voice? I
Well,
heard?
it's the MTB. I think that's Phil. Yeah.
So look at the list, because like I said, we just really got the dates and the times today. Look at the list and see what fits your schedules. And it's not written in stone yet because they haven't really started meeting. They really pick up in the next month. And let us know. Okay,
Yeah, maybe just send out the list of whoever signed up and then.
we can do that, I think.
Then we'll
Yes.
know.
Yeah,
I'll
that way
send that out
that'll help a
tomorrow.
lot. Okay. So future agenda items. Push that out of the way. So we wanted to talk about animal services, the first meeting in May. Is that correct? If we had information?
Yeah, we can talk about it, but I didn't know if Councilwoman just wanted to have a general discussion.
Yeah, we remember last meeting, you wanted to have a discussion about it. And so I thought we could try to get some information and hopefully we'll have something.
Yeah, I think.
We can have a discussion about it then.
Yeah, I think given some of the discussion tonight and the fact that there is a study ongoing and you're about to choose an independent group to take a look at that, perhaps a discussion is not really worthy at this point.
Okay.
So just kind of hold off.
That's not a problem. We'll keep it on hold for now.
Thank you.
We may be able to bring forth a, did you tell me it was an ordinance for the Performing Arts Committee
We could do it by resolution
resolution?
to create a performing arts.
Right,
committee.
to create the Performing Arts Task Force. And then we'll discuss the fireworks issue. Okay.
Mayor, I don't know if you saw the Journal this morning. There's a
Yes,
long
I did.
discussion.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I thought
And I
very
was,
good.
I was in the office when the fire broke out in the north part of the village. It was very, you've never seen Tanya Lawton move so fast. So the announcements, we've already had a discussion about the spring bike fair. It's going to be held this Saturday from 10 to 12. Also Mud Sweat and Cheers, Mud Sweat and Cheers at the old church from 9 to 3. And the spinning and weaving is also there from 1:30 to 3:30. Those are activities this weekend. Yes, sir.
Mayor, thank you. Speaking of the fire at the north end of the village, that got me to thinking, have we ever looked at updating our emergency preparedness plan for the village in case there was a major fire or anything like that? Because I know we've,
I know we have, I don't know if it's been updated.
Okay.
I know we have one and we have recommendations sent out with regard to what you should take in an emergency, what you should put in your car, those types of things. I can certainly look into that.
I think it might be worthwhile just to take a look and see, escape routes, how things
Right,
are handled and so
right.
forth.
Yes, and
Mayor?
Anthony may actually be interested in, yes, ma'am.
Yes, actually, Commander Latin and I had a conversation about that about 2 or 3 months ago. So there is a plan. It has not been updated in quite a while. But she said the last one was a very large undertaking and would probably require some sort of task force or something. Your favorite.
Again, huh?
So yeah, we've had a chat about it and
It just may need just a
Yeah.
quick update to, reflect the changes in the village.
yes.
Perhaps. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I might also suggest that there is out there an evacuation plan for large animals
Yes.
that could be included in that. The CHAMP is organized.
Okay. Anyone? Yes, sir, Rick.
On that point, I took a look at that P and Z long report that they had, and they were trying to come to some conclusions before they could bring it to us. And I think at the very end, there's the need, and we've talked about it here. It's not something we can do immediately by any means, but maybe we should start planning for the plan. To relook at that plan. And so I don't know what that involves. I know that I've done. a
Chapter
few-
18, you mean?
I'm sorry?
Chapter 18, the land use ordinance?
Yep. There was a-
Comprehensive plan.
Oh, you're talking about the comprehensive plan.
And so I think they were kind of stuck and the way I was reading it, they were kind of stuck, well, the plan doesn't have it, so should we move it or not? And so the whole idea of moving forward with the idea of putting that comprehensive plan together, that takes a lot of work, something we can't do in the next couple of months, maybe, or who we bring in to help us put that together. But I just thought maybe we should at least bring that up so we can start working on that comprehensive plan.
So
part.
that
the
was
plan, the
another,
plan.
that was another entity we were going to ask for assistance.
Cog.
Huh?
Mr. Cog.
Mr. Cog was going to come and help us with that.
They did the last comprehensive plan for the village, and our initial conversations with them was with the person that's no longer with the COG, two people that were no longer with the COG. We're looking at it as in so many ways, the village hasn't changed that much. But the plan does require updating. And so
Yeah.
I think the best way I would describe it is looking at a comprehensive plan light. Because the discussion is going on, but it has started going on, but it is by no ready means to start.
Okay, good.
Because
I just want to bring forward, because by the looks of the plan and zoning, their final decision was, well, let's kind of wait to see what the plan
Correct.
puts us then in a position for them to make a recommendation to us. And so that's where we're at. So
And
thank
the-
you, Ron, for
And the
that.
last plan was done like 13 years ago, 2009, something like that. And it does need update. And I consider the last plan kind of a comprehensive plan light, actually. So, there's been some changes in the village. Yes, Mel?
Yeah, I have one quick question. Earlier we talked about the road being either, Corrales is gonna take it over or the DOT is gonna keep it. Does this have anything directly upon the pathways then? Is that still in the offing that we do have a pathway somewhere?
No,
That's what got scrapped.
So it was totally scrapped then?
pretty much.
And so then I've had people ask me about where's the money gonna go then that was put in?
Well, the money has gone into Main Street and I'm not quite sure how to answer that question.
we spent, Main Street spent approximately $80,000 to $90,000 within the last year to get as-built drawings produced by Steve Groman, our engineer. And that's one of the tragedies of this whole event, because we had various right-of-ways that we'd walked the street with Michael and I had walked the street along with Jim Kruger 2 or 3 times, looking at various right-of-ways, both private right-of-ways and how they would blend into the public right-of-way that the state requires. So that's part of the lost effort and lost monies that have gone in this. And as we were talking about earlier, and as the mayor mentioned, I mean, we asked them 3 different times, I think, in our meeting.
3 different several different ways, could we do, do pods? I was thinking pods, a walkway across the road goes to a parking area. Serves 3 or 4 or 5 businesses. Another pod, crosswalk, you can go to 4 or 5 businesses, have a parking area. So it served 2 purposes. The idea that being that people could park and then go to the businesses. They don't like crosswalks. I mean,
They don't like a lot of things.
they don't like a lot of things, but when you see what it's either 5-star or none at all. So, it's kind of frustrating. And I've lived with this for 20 something years, because I have a wife who's very much involved with it early on. And I know Bill's first.
Okay.
I know exactly, how people feel. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I'm just curious, 20 years and Ron, the last 3 years or so as administrator, is there any indication along the way? I mean, there was no discouragement to pursue the pathways.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe we need to lean on our legislators a little bit. Maybe we can get something through the state. Because, I'm tired of them just squashing everything we try to do, in terms of trying to do something for the civilians and for the residents.
Well, part of the issue is right of way, and the highway was basically a prescriptive easement. It's an old stagecoach road that was just kind of built. And so you have a lot of private property that are very close. I mean, you see buildings that are 2 or 3 feet away from the road, the corners. You have places where they've built an outdoor patio that's probably pretty much within the entire right of way, if not a significant part of it. And we actually did a survey. Do you remember? I think that's probably what some of the money went for. It was a survey of the road. So we could tell DOT, this is where we have, we can build. And in fact, there was a discussion about, okay, we have room over here, but not down here. So we'll cross over and go. There was a lot of that. No, you can't do that.
Or you can hear it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think this was initially pitched as a quality of life and economic vitality thing, but with as many people are coming to the village and the desirability of spending time in the village, it's becoming a safety issue too, right? That people can't walk down Corrales Road safely right now. And
You're saying exactly what the DOT has said. You're saying exactly what they say. It's a safety issue. You cannot have people walking within 3 feet of the highway. You have, what they call it, was something like, you naturally tend to get away from the road a certain distance. So you have to build in the allowance of a couple of 3 feet for that. So that's why your pathway has to be this size.
Right.
And then you have to have a buffer space between the road and the sidewalk, pathway, whatever you want to call it.
it seems silly that we don't have any of those things right now. That something we want to do is going to improve it. It may not improve it up to the current standard that they want now, but it's still going to improve it. And it seems like better is better. It may not be the best, but it still would be better. And it would be good for all three purposes, for the economy, for quality of life, and for safety, even though it's not up to the highest possible standard. It's dramatically better than people walking down the stripe of the road.
So in healthcare, it's called the standard of care. And their standard of care is this. And if we don't do that, we're still held to that standard.
Right. I think you still put your hand in the wound and try to stop the bleeding, even if you don't think you're going to be able to, though, in healthcare. I mean, we need to try to do something that's going to improve the situation.
I wasn't a good analogy.
There.
But it's terribly frustrating to try to, yes, sir, John.
Just, I mean, from your earlier remarks, this is an agency that said if they survey the road speeds, they might be inclined to increase the speed limit. So clearly, their own internal thinking is at odds with itself, because, you know, higher speed limit on this road is just, you know, that's yeah, that would be the act of an insane person.
Go to Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, is there a way, can we task, and maybe they already have, and this is done, can we task Main Street with finding what are the pieces that we can accomplish that are outside the purview of the DOT?
That's, you know, Main Street's been working at this forever. Well, it's not forever, but since 20 something years ago. And I think everybody's tried every way they can imagine to make this happen. There was one time that I think the Department of Transportation said, well, you could put bollards up along the road as an obstruction. But then they took that back, as I think they wanted to have a shoulder where people could pull off in an emergency. So, you know, you get some mixed messages, but the other day when we were there, they were comparing us with our Corrales Road, this in our commercial area, with a strip that's in Los Lunas. And they showed us how it looked before they did their job. And then they showed us how it looked afterward. And we don't want that.
Speaking to somebody's point about the acting or asking our legislators, I mean, that may be a path, is to provide DOT with rules that allow for a lesser than perfect standard of care, that allow for, you know, something more moderate given historical considerations. I don't know if that's possible.
There are always, sorry.
Go ahead. No,
there are always exceptions to the rules, but the fact is, I think your standard of care is a prime example of why that's where you have to have a start. And if they own the piece of property, they own the land, we call it the street right now, and they're taking advantage of it. If they put themselves in a position where they may allow that to happen, they're not going to sue us. They're going to go ahead and sue the state, and they're going to go ahead against that. I'm saying all this based on, if you can remember, the same situation happened down on Isleta Boulevard when they redid Isleta Boulevard about 15, 20 years ago. And they did exactly what you said. They moved it, but they took a whole lot of taking went on. And a lot of that was not really well received by the community, but they made it wider and they bumped up the speed.
Made it safer.
Yeah. But it was safer because it was now wider and it had sidewalks. But boy, there was a lot of land taking. There was a lot of taking.
Yeah.
Yes, Stuart.
One last comment would be, as is now, we're probably as dangerous if unless we improved it somehow. Because the current situation we have now with people walking on the shoulder, they're in a lot more danger than it would be if we had the pathways installed, wouldn't it?
So they're coming May 19th. DOT, is that the day?
Oh, we have a quarterly meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a,
Could we have the other members of the council show up?
sure.
It's May 19th at 1:15. Is that correct, Melanie?
I'm not.
You don't
sure.
know?
I don't
Okay.
remember.
It's a team meeting, so you can zoom in or team in from your home.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could ask some of those questions.
It just seems ludicrous that we've got a situation where we have people walking on the sides of the road, which is about as dangerous as it can be. And yet we're proposing something that would improve somewhat, and maybe give it a little bit of safety there.
It's sort of a catch-22.
Yeah.
Because if we take over the road, we're stuck with a huge long-term expense.
Well, and they've been arguing that there are other monies available that we could get through other agencies. I mean, that's their pet answer, I think.
I wouldn't count on that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even tell us how much they spent.
We have to help them find a way to satisfy their own rulemaking and regulatory process that will satisfy us as well. And that might mean helping others establish a new
Right,
path.
and on that point, Mr. Mayor, on that, there's probably, and we have the attorneys here, there's always somebody somewhere was in Roswell or Raton somewhere along the way that there was an exception to the rule, as I stated out, starting about it, but that was who was gonna be, we usually landed on saying who's gonna take over the ability to pay the bill if somebody gets hurt on that, who do they sue? I mean, that's the way it always has been. And so.
If we own the road, if it's ours, they sue us.
That's right.
If the highway has the road, they sue them.
Exactly. And if they do something wrong on their road that against their own will, they're asking themselves for a suit. So it's gonna be hard sell. But again, we can always take a look and see what anything historical has happened. It's worth what you were just talking about. Let's take a history, look at this and see whether they've done it somewhere along the way in Algodones or in Raton, somewhere along the way.
Okay, well, we'll,
Mayor, that meeting is the 19th at 1:15.
okay, so.
I think we should join them.
May 19th at 1:15. Yes, sir.
I'm just thinking ahead, there may be a dark future for us when they no longer want to maintain that road and say that it has to be brought up to.
Well, it's scheduled, but it's what they call a tier 3.
It's a tier 3.
So it's not scheduled like, an interstate or a bigger street. It's a lower level.
It's a
None
tier
of
3.
none of us will be sitting in these chairs when it happens, but I can see it coming.
No, you'll be back.
Okay, I think we have discussed everything on the agenda, then some. So our business is concluded tonight and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.